war saw many of the ministers and aristocrats lose their lives, including those in the famous executions of more than 60 on Bloody Sunday. So it was a miracle that the couple survived by their respect that was shown to them and what they deserved. There is very difficult times of were in prison. Meanwhile, their young family were cared for by family and friends at home and abroad. Whilst in prison, sharing a mattress on the ground with other female inmates, Jember used her nursing skills to alleviate the physical and emotional traumas of those around her, showing compassion, understanding, determination, even advising, assisting, and helping those whose job it was to guard her. It was amazing to see the bond that existed between her and her captors when she interacted with them socially in later years. With Jember's release, followed eventually by Haile George's, the couple did not seek refuge by leaving their country. Indeed, they were amongst the few who stayed faithful to their motherland and worked tirelessly to the plight of the poorest in the country. In the mid-1980s, Jember had an opportunity to study at Manchester University, and this gave her the chance to put theory into action. Simultaneously, she was also exposed to the development theories and practices of Latin American poverty alleviation advocates, which she had stated on many occasions had influenced her profoundly. Jember's MPhil thesis on poverty alleviation opened the door to the many years of work for which she became famous, integrating holistic approach, urban development projects. I chaired UDP, a project that she set up in the late 1980s. It has been a model for poverty alleviation in cities such as Chicago in the USA and Johannesburg in South Africa, and institutions of renown such as Harvard University have used her material. Jember's ultimate plan had been to hand over the work to the communities, and this challenging task had been accomplished successfully. I first met Jember and took a tour of her project just 6 months after Jember Teferra, when things were their most challenging and the poor their most needy. Her sponsorship program was destined to include a school with 800 sponsored children, and it was a joy to offer advice and encouragement at this time. In the project area, it was not unusual to see celebrities such as Bob Geldof, Bono, Brad Pitt, Angelina Jolie, or the United Kingdom's own Princess Anne. They were taking a tour to find out what was happening in the communities and in the work that she had pioneered. I recall the day that Bob Geldof called out to a group of building workers working on homes for the elderly. You better build those well. I might want to come and retire there. Jember's skill set together with that of her team, developed still further, gaining her a doctorate and the chance to establish the Institute for Urban Development, a tribute to her vision, which was to share her experiences of working with the poorest in the city, with the next generation of Ethiopians. In 2001, she was nominated by the Ethiopian government's Ministry of Women's Affairs to represent Ethiopia in a competition called Africa, where during the course of the week in Johannesburg, representatives from nearly 40 African nations presented their contributions to the empowerment and development of women on the continent. In her usual modest manner, being totally unfamiliar with red carpet treatment, she was even coaxed to take part in a fashion show. The day before, she protested that she had no Abala with her. And anyway, she was going to go on a tour of a coal mine that day. So off she went with the tour group. Whilst she was away, with the wonderful cooperation of the Ethiopian Embassy in Pretoria, I managed to create an array of 17 Abala. Upon her return, we had fun and games selecting what she would wear. But due to her petite stature, there was only one suitable. So she performed on a catwalk in a shy, diffident way, in the shoes that she had previously been wearing, walking and trudging the alleyways and cabelas of Addis Ababa the week before. At the end of the week, in recognition of a lifetime of service, she was awarded the Supreme Trophy of Africa 2001. And I was fortunate enough to witness that occasion. People have asked me how we worked together. She was an expert on health. I was an educational professional. Like many others in the UK and elsewhere in the world, I was a volunteer, parachuting in and out for several years. I spent many hours sitting at her position, enjoying her wonderful hospitality. And whilst that, I was forever learning more and more about Ethiopia. When it came to big projects with enormous documentation, her habit was to work on through the night. 3 to 4 a.m. was not unusual for her to finish working. As for me, my mind is always best at 4 a.m. So I would pick up the work she had left for me on the whole table and play my part in completing the task in hand, editing, checking, and commenting until all the work was done. So, Jember got some sleep, I got some sleep, but the poor documents were active 24 hours a day. Like many of you here today, I believe that if I had not known this inspiring lady, there are many things I never would have done. I would never have had the strength and vision to co-found the British International School here, for a start. Her powerful determination delivered to us all, with the quietness and sincerity, motivated us in ways we would not dream of. She became a motivator in our lives, not for her own personal prowess, but for the plight of the poor, the weak, the disenfranchised. There were two little phrases that were always at the tip of her tongue. Firstly, she would talk about the nitty-gritty, the small yet tiresome challenges and details of life needed to be overcome in order to move forward. Today, they are all around us. All the time they are there. And sometimes the small things seem to magnify into a big boulder, finger around our neck. Her attention to detail was such that she would work long hours into the night to get these small details right. Her second favourite words, quoted continuously, were the good Lord. In all her trials and sorrows, she never doubted her Maker's good intentions. Her faith was her motivator. And many of you will still be motivated by her example and put your hands to things you never would have dreamt of. You would never have dreamt of achieving them had you not known Jember. Throughout the world, at all levels of society, there are those who owe their own personal development and to Jember. And without Jember and her faithful team who worked on the projects, who I thank on her behalf to you now, her project workers, thank you. We give thanks to God for the privilege of knowing her. May she rest well in the arms of her good Lord.